Common belief suggests stress simply fades after a long day, yet your brain tells another story. Within 24 hours of a stressor, cortisol can shrink dendrites in the hippocampus, the brain's memory hub. This structural change can last weeks and affects memory consolidation. While you prepare for sleep, your amygdala may remain hyperactive, constantly scanning for threats. Instead of winding down, it triggers a cascade that suppresses the prefrontal cortex, impairing decision-making and emotional regulation. Your brain physically changes, proving stress isn't just a fleeting feeling. The key lies in these structural shifts. Many assume anxiety is just a mental state, but it alters neural pathways. When stress floods your system, it hijacks the amygdala, heightening its connection to the prefrontal cortex. This enhanced connectivity can make fear responses more automatic. The fascinating interplay transforms how your brain processes threats, even in benign situations. Your brain's architecture adapts to prioritize survival signals, often at the expense of rational thought. It's not just thoughts racing, it's complex biological wiring that keeps your mind restless. Such adaptations are the real culprits behind persistent anxiety. When you lie in bed hoping for sleep, the brain's default mode network, DMN, may still be active. Contrary to the idea that rest naturally quiets the mind, the DMN, responsible for self-referential thinking, can amplify anxiety. Studies from cognitive neuroscience labs show that DMN activity remains elevated during anxious states. It's as if your brain continues to churn through unresolved worries at the exact moment you wish to disconnect. Understanding this mechanism reveals why unwinding isn't just about closing your eyes. The DMN's role disrupts the pathway to restful sleep. We often hear that breaking habits is about willpower, but brain circuits tell another story. Deep inside the basal ganglia, stress strengthens habit loops, cementing routines even when they harm us. Under stress, dopamine signaling shifts to reward familiar behaviors, reinforcing patterns your conscious mind may want to break. Habitual actions are encoded as a survival strategy, making it challenging to change under pressure. This neurobiological process explains why anxiety-driven habits persist and why unwinding before bed may feel like a battle against your very wiring. It's not just about choice, it's about chemistry. The concept that sleep naturally erases stress is a myth. Instead, stress can downregulate BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, critical for neuroplasticity. University studies with controlled stressors show BDNF levels drop, undermining the brain's ability to adapt and learn. During sleep, when BDNF should foster new connections, reduced levels limit this potential. This biological truth reveals why post-stress sleep might not feel refreshing. Your brain's capacity to recover from the day hinges on BDNF, which stress directly impacts. Understanding this mechanism challenges the notion that sleep is a foolproof stress antidote. Cortisol, the stress hormone, does more than cause jitters. It targets the hippocampus, reducing dendrite density and impacting memory. Research from Stanford University highlights that chronic exposure can lead to a 20% reduction in dendritic connections. This structural change disrupts synaptic plasticity, limiting your ability to learn and remember. Such cellular shifts underscore why stress isn't just a psychological effect but a physical transformation. When cortisol levels spike, the hippocampus suffers, altering how experiences are encoded. This mechanism is a silent architect of an anxious mind. The amygdala's hyperactivation during stress is not just emotional overflow. It lies at the heart of altered brain connectivity. MRI studies identify increased amygdala prefrontal connectivity as a hallmark of anxiety disorders. This wiring change can make fear responses automatic and exaggerated. The prefrontal cortex, which should regulate these impulses, becomes less effective. This miscommunication is why your brain seems to spiral into worry loops. Understanding this neural pathway reveals the complexity of anxiety. It's a network-level disruption, not just a fleeting thought. Dopamine, often celebrated for pleasure, plays a crucial role in stress response. Under chronic stress conditions, dopamine receptor downregulation occurs. A study in the Journal of Neuroscience reveals a 30% reduction in receptor availability in stressed individuals. This downregulation dulls reward sensitivity, turning familiar comforts into ineffective soothing strategies. As the brain recalibrates its reward system, stress makes it harder to derive pleasure. These molecular adaptations dismantle the brain's natural reward processing. It's an intricate recalibration that affects emotional well-being. The basal ganglia, home to habit formation, encodes routines through stress-enhanced loops. Neuroscientists at MIT show that stress strengthens these circuits, prioritizing habitual over adaptive actions. Dopamine release fortifies these loops, making stress-driven habits resilient. This encoding happens even during sleep, when the brain consolidates memories. Understanding how stress influences basal ganglia circuitry reveals why anxiety-driven habits persist even as you try to unwind. It's a neural process that defies conscious effort and demands more than sheer will to change. The vagus nerve, a key player in the rest and digest system, modulates stress response. Research from Harvard Medical School shows vagus nerve stimulation can reduce heart rate variability, a stress marker. This nerve extends to the brain, influencing neurochemical balance. Vagus nerve signaling affects the release of neurotransmitters, aiding in the transition to a calm state. This biological feedback loop is crucial for achieving tranquility before bed. It's a physiological mechanism at the intersection of body and mind, underlying the complexity of stress reduction. Chronic stress isn't just prolonged anxiety, it fundamentally alters brain architecture. Unlike acute stress, which temporarily boosts alertness, chronic stress erodes the prefrontal cortex. Over time, dendritic shrinkage compromises decision-making and impulse control. The Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism reports that prolonged stress exposure is linked to a 14% reduction in prefrontal gray matter. This isn't just about feeling overwhelmed. It's a tangible reconfiguration of brain regions. The toll of chronic stress is etched into the very structure of your brain, reshaping how you process the world. Self-help claims often promise quick fixes, yet neuroscience paints a different picture. Brain imaging studies reveal that mindfulness-based interventions alter amygdala-prefrontal connectivity. However, these changes require consistent practice over several weeks. A study in biological psychiatry shows that 8 weeks of mindfulness training can decrease amygdala volume by 6%. It's a gradual process, not an overnight shift. The brain's response to stress management techniques involves slow, deliberate rewiring. This underscores the need for patience in the journey toward mental calm. The promise is real, but the path is measured. Popular psychology suggests simple affirmations can replace anxiety, but brain science suggests a deeper mechanism. Repeated affirmation practice can increase activity in the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, linked to self-referential processing, according to research from UCLA. This structural engagement promotes positive thought patterns by forming new neural pathways. The process, however, requires sustained repetition to effectively rewire the brain. It's not the words alone, but their integration into neural circuits that yields change. The brain's plasticity allows for transformation, but only through persistent cognitive effort. Brain imaging studies challenge the notion that relaxation is simply a mental exercise. The default mode network, DMN, often remains active during attempted relaxation, perpetuating anxiety. Functional MRI scans reveal that DMN suppression through focused tasks can lower anxiety levels. Activities requiring attention shift brain activity away from the DMN. This redirection mitigates the brain's tendency to ruminate. It is not just about calming thoughts, but engaging the brain in a way that rewires its activity. The mechanism lies in altering network engagement, not merely quieting the mind. A remarkable study from the University of Wisconsin highlights the long-term impact of meditation on anxiety. Over 50 participants showed a 30% reduction in anxiety after a 3-month meditation program. This effect was measured via reduced amygdala activity and increased cortical thickness in areas linked to emotion regulation. These structural changes indicate that meditation fosters enduring brain adaptations. It's not just a temporary relief, but a reconfiguration of neural pathways. This demonstrates how targeted mental practices can yield profound neurological transformations. The science underscores the potential of meditation as a tool for lasting mental stability.